Hey, George,
Hello,
how's it
Darren.
going there today?
Good morning. Great so far. But it's early. A lot can happen.
I always thought of you as being a morning guy, given the fact that, you were out in Arizona and you were a fitness guy. Is it still hard to get up in the morning all these years later?
Now it's easier. You sleep less when you get older.
Right on.
I don't sleep anyways, so it's like I have difficulty sleeping anyways, so it's always easy for me to get up because I'm already up. And plus, we up till recently, we're empty nesters now, but up till recently, we had lots and lots of little chickens running around, so a lot of activity in the house. So nobody sleeps after 7 in the morning because kids getting up, going to school, going to work.
So I had the pleasure a couple of weeks ago of speaking to your bandmate Ray about KXM, and I wanted to ask you a few things about KXM up front, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Okay, so this was the third album that you guys put on together, and most bands that are not side projects don't do 3 albums. So I'm curious when you realized that this was going to be a band and not just a one-off or a side project or an all-star thing that you just do once or twice for fun.
Well, it might have just been one record. I don't think anybody thought beyond that first record or had any expectations it would be anything other than a one-off. But, a couple of things. It sold well. And so, just like a movie franchise, you make Avengers, you got to make Avengers 2. But more importantly, it was just that we had done something that we really had fun doing and loved the outcome of it. So we thought, well, we were all looking forward to doing it again. In fact, I wasn't sure we were even going to talk about that. And then they were calling, Doug and especially Ray was calling me like, let's go. You guys, let's do this. I got some time. You guys want to think about doing the second one? I was like, oh, hell yeah. So, and then the third one, same thing. So as far as everybody's concerned, we're just going to keep going. Despite the fact that we haven't been able to play live, but we are actually getting probably to your next question. We are making plans to go out near the end of this year and do some live shows.
Well, Ray had said that there was likelihood of booking one LA gig and filming it for a DVD and all that. He hadn't mentioned a possibility of actually doing a tour run, which is pretty incredible, given that you guys are all basically in full-time bands and full-time side projects as well. So have you already started thinking about a fourth album, or is it really every 2-3 years there's a new album and then we take it from there?
Oh, we haven't thought about a fourth album, no. This album has been done for a little while. It's just been kind of sitting in the can waiting for the release because there are so many other records we all have coming out. We have to really slot the releases, time them so they don't conflict with our other records and other projects. But it's been just sort of sitting there for a while, which is frustrating. Because, when you get the record done, you want everybody to hear it. It's fresh, but the next thing that we're working on is, I've got all the videos done. We did 3 videos. The next thing we're going to be working on is getting an actual tour put together. Not just one date. No, it'd be more like a dozen dates, I think. We're just putting feelers out there, and we've got an agent, and we've got a kind of a skeleton crew, and we've got a set list, and we've got a plan. So see where it goes.
Great. I hope to eventually see you guys live in New York. But have you thought about if and when you're playing live, is the set list just KXM stuff, or do you feel pressure to, throw in a song or two from the Lynch Mob?
No. It would be pure KXM. KXM is strong enough. We don't need to be throwing in. You don't want to dilute what KXM is. I mean, we do plenty of that other stuff in our other projects. I play Dokken music in Lynch Mob, and the End Machine, we were playing Dokken music and other stuff, covers and stuff. I don't want to mix it up like that and then muddy the waters. Yeah, KXM is stand on its own.
Absolutely, I can see the point of that one, but it's amazing if somebody's been following George Lynch for decades that not only have you never slowed down, but you're arguably more prolific than ever. Because if we say, besides these 3 KXM records in the last 5 or so years, the End Machine you just mentioned, Ultraphonics, Sweden Lynch, etc., Are you the kind of guy that's writing every single day? Because it seems like it.
Well, when you're an artist, you create every day. You may not put pen to paper or, brush to canvas or, notes to tape or whatever you call it. But, it's always there. You just have to tap into it,
Oh, did I lose you, George?
Paltrocast.
Hey, George, can you hear me now?
Yes, familiar voice.
Thank you so much for your time again. And when we last spoke, I was asking you about KXM, and then I segued that into asking about your creative process. Now, it's amazing how prolific that you've been over the last 10, 15 years. KXM is only one of your side projects. So I'm curious if you write every day or, how often you kind of write, because it seems like you write every day.
First, you have to, define the word write. I mean, basically, anytime anybody sits down with an instrument and they're playing something off the top of their heads, I guess you would say that's composing. So, if that's true, then every time I sit down and play guitar, I'm writing because, I'm playing something different and coming up with some ideas. But as far as dedicated composing, there's two ways that I do that. One is when I'm just sitting around casually practicing or, playing through an amp or something in my studio or at home, and I get an idea. And then I capture it on my phone, voice memo, and that's an invaluable tool for me because I'll use that as a resource to refer back to when I'm in the studio and I am writing for real. So and the other time is when I'm actually got a project that requires me to do pre-production or in the case of KXM, no pre-production and be in a studio or be working with other band members and coming up with a song. And but we're always writing, yeah, but not in a dedicated way necessarily. All songs for me start with just a riff or a beat or a melody that I'll bark into my phone. and I've had this kind of funny idea for a while because almost every musician that I talk to about this does the same thing. We all use our voice memo to capture ideas on the run, and we have this, pool of 100 ideas just sitting around on our phones and our devices. And I thought and a lot of them are just ideas that, we call them mouth riffs or mouth drums. We'll make the sound of the riff with our mouths that we're hearing in our head, because I might be driving in a car or hiking or somewhere where, I'm just in bed and I got an idea, like in a half wakened state, and I just need to document it, and I'll just sing it into the phone. But when you play it back, it sounds ridiculous because you're doing the beat with your mouth, and then you're doing the bass part, and then you're doing the guitar part, and then you're talking about it to explain, to give you some reference points. And I thought someday I'll just release that as a record.
Wow.
Hello?
Yeah.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say more than that.
Dude, last time we did that interview, I went on for 10 minutes, and I was and I wasn't hearing anything on your end, and I just thought, wow, he's just letting me go off here. So, and I was like, hello, and yeah.
Well, hey, that is intriguing stuff.
It was honestly like the best shit I ever said in my whole life.
What I was going to ask as a follow-up to that was if you have any creative outlets besides guitar, or if music really gets all of your creativity.
I build my guitars and Mr. Scary guitars. That's definitely a creative outlet. I kind of have a specific kind of artistic vision with the look and the style, which is, kind of a desert, organic kind of vibe, and I dabble in, I hate to call it artwork, but I do kind of a mixed media thing that I've done the last, bunch of years, where I just kind of, I don't know, I take things and I turn them into other things, I could send you some examples of stuff I got hanging around my house that I've done.
Sure, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know how to describe it. Skulls and hypodermic needles, or I'll bust out a typewriter and I'll take the typewriter keys and I'll use it to print other stuff, and then I'll do all kinds of barnyard painting on it and get all antique frames, and I just kind of put a whole bunch of elements together, and I don't know what you call it, but whatever. It's a way to express yourself,
Mixed media art, to say the least. And another project of yours that I've always been intrigued by is Hearing Aid. Was that a pleasure to be part of, looking back?
Well, that's kind of one of the first deals that I did where it was, you didn't want to be left out, because when, your manager or whoever calls you up and they say, well, they want to know if you want to be involved. And, Yngwie and Neil Schon and, every other guitar player is going to be there. So do you want to be part of that group, or you want to get left out? And so, I want to be one of the guys that matters. So you show up. It's not really about the benefit, it should be, but it wasn't, necessarily the topmost thing on my mind when I did it. But it was fascinating, it was exciting, because I come from that world of, when I was younger, of cutting heads, where it was guitar playing was very competitive in the area that I lived, and there'd be guys from other towns, adjoining towns, and they'd have their crew, and it'd always be a battle, so very competitive. So I grew up with that, and it's exciting, and it was fun.
And being respectful of your time here, I'll just ask my closer, and that's any last words for the kids, George?
Diversify. One word. I mean, I can't put it any more simple than that. I've been around a while and, seen the ups and downs of the industry, and it's pretty hard to stay relevant for a lifetime. And the lesson that I've learned is to do a lot of different things, kind of even out the bumps and the peaks and the valleys on the road.
Well, you've definitely been doing that. So really, thanks again for this extra time here. Looking forward to seeing you in New York in the near future, and whether that's with KXM or Lynch Mob, whatever. Thank you for all your years of great entertainment, George.
Yeah, no problem. Throw me a cell phone number. I can text you or an email. You give it to Sean, and he'll give it to me, and I'll email you a picture of a couple of my pieces.
Paltrocast.